You've always been selfish. Your sister deserved that suit more. My dad said at the table, and I snapped back, "You're not getting another cent from me." The next morning, I reclaimed the house, car, and every credit card they used. Hey, Reddit. The suit was navy blue. That detail stuck with me. Not the words, not the silence that followed, nor the expression on my father's face when he said it. Just the suit. Navy blue, sharp lines, perfectly fitted, the kind that tells a story without saying anything. Success, opportunity, approval. It was draped carefully over the chair next to my sister, not wrinkled, not haphazardly placed, but there on purpose, like a reminder of who mattered. We were gathered at the dining table, the same one that had been in my parents' house as long as I could remember. Every important conversation of my life had taken place there, every rule, every expectation, every unspoken agreement that seemed to benefit everyone else. The light overhead hummed softly. Plates were half full. No one was in a hurry. The atmosphere was calm, too calm. My sister adjusted the sleeve of the suit, smoothing it with her hand. A small gesture that shouldn't have mattered, but it did. She didn't look at me while she did it. She didn't need to. My dad noticed my gaze lingering. He leaned back in his chair, fork still in hand, and said it in a tone he'd used to comment on the weather. "You've always been selfish. Your sister deserved that suit more." He didn't raise his voice. He didn't pause. He stated it as if it were a fact. The word selfish hung in the air. For a moment, I waited for the familiar reaction, the reflex I'd been conditioned to have my whole life, the one that made me justify myself, explain, apologize for things I hadn't done wrong. But it didn't come. Instead, something colder and clearer replaced it. Because that suit wasn't just clothing. It was the final confirmation. I had always been the easy child. That was the term my parents liked to use. She's independent. She doesn't need much. She can handle things. And I did. I handled things so well that eventually it became my role rather than a choice. My sister was different. She was sensitive. She needed encouragement and reassurance. When she faced challenges, it was a family issue. When I faced challenges, it was seen as my personal responsibility. If she needed help with school, tutors were arranged. If she felt overwhelmed, plans were adjusted. If she wanted to quit something halfway through, it was supported. When I worked 2 jobs, no one asked why. When I skipped vacations, no one noticed. When I quietly paid bills, it went unacknowledged. Over time, the lines blurred. I wasn't just helping anymore. I was covering mortgage payments when my parents needed a little extra. Car payments when my sister was going through a phase. Credit cards that were supposedly temporary. Temporary turned into years. No one ever sat me down and asked, "Can you do this?" They said things like, "You're good with money. You don't have kids. You're not struggling like the rest of us." And always, "You'll understand." Understand meant don't resist. This suit had cost more than I had spent on myself in months. I remembered the call clearly. My sister had been excited, breathless. "Dad says I need something nice for the interview," she said. "Something that shows I belong there." I didn't ask how much it cost. I didn't ask why it had to be me. I transferred the money. I always did. I told myself it would be a one-time thing, just another moment where being generous would keep the peace. And now it was there, admired, validated, and used to judge me. "You didn't need it," my dad continued, as if he were explaining something obvious to a child. "She needs confidence." "I paid for it," I said quietly. He shrugged. "That doesn't mean it was for you." The room went silent. My mother looked down at her plate. My sister said nothing. She never did when silence worked in her favor. That was the moment everything clicked. Not when he called me selfish, but when I realized they truly believed this, that my money was communal, that my efforts were expected, that my boundaries didn't exist. I wasn't their daughter. I was their solution. I pushed my chair back slowly and stood. "You're not getting another penny from me," I stated. The words felt strange in my mouth, unfamiliar, but right. Dad scoffed. "Don't be dramatic." "I'm done," I said. "All of it." My mom finally looked uncomfortable. "You don't mean that," she said softly. I met her gaze. I do. No shouting, no tears, no apology. Just truth spoken calmly, the kind that can't be unsaid. I left without dessert. No one followed me. No one stopped me. The drive home was quiet. Streetlights blurred past. My hands were steady on the wheel. For the first time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt awake because something fundamental had changed. I wasn't selfish. I was exhausted. That night, I didn't sleep. I opened my laptop instead. Mortgage, car, credit cards, every account I had taken on quietly, consistently, invisibly. Every automatic payment I had set up to avoid stress. Every thread tying my life to theirs. The next morning, I began cutting those threads one by one. What I did that morning, reclaiming the house, the car, and every credit line they relied on, forced my family to finally face what life looks like when the so-called selfish one stops paying. I woke up the next morning before my alarm, not because I was anxious, but because I was clear. For the first time in years, my chest didn't feel tight. There was no immediate urge to check my phone. No rush of guilt. No mental list of things I needed to fix for someone else before the day could begin. The house was quiet. My house. I sat at the edge of the bed for a long time, letting that sink in. Then I opened my laptop. I didn't start with emotions. I began with logistics because that was the language my family understood best. The mortgage account was first. It had been in my name for years, something I agreed to temporarily when my parents needed help refinancing. Every payment on time. Every confirmation email archived. Every reminder ignored because I never needed them. I logged in. I removed my account, not angrily, not dramatically, just cleanly. Next was the car. The one my parents drove. The one my sister used when she needed it. The one I paid for insurance, maintenance, and monthly payments on without ever being listed as the primary driver. I called the bank. I explained that I was no longer allowing payments. They didn't argue or question me because legally, it was always mine. Then came the credit cards, multiple cards opened in my name for emergencies. Cards that slowly became everyday use. Cards I didn't even carry anymore, but still paid for religiously. I froze each one by one. The confirmations popped up on the screen like quiet acknowledgments of a life I had been living on autopilot. By the time I closed my laptop, the sun was up and for the first time in my adult life, I had nothing left to undo. The call started around noon, my mother first. I let it ring, then my father, then my sister. By mid-afternoon, my phone vibrated so often it barely had time to go dark between calls. I listened to the voicemails later. My mom sounded confused. "Something's wrong with the bank," she said. "The mortgage payment didn't go through." My dad sounded angry. "What did you do?" he demanded. "The car payment bounced." My sister sounded panicked. "My card's not working," she said. "Fix it now." "Fix it." I finally answered when my dad called again. "What is going on?" he snapped. "I meant what I said," I replied calmly. "You're not getting another penny from me." "You can't just do that," he said. "I can," I replied. "And I did." "You're punishing us." I could hear my mom crying in the background. I closed my eyes. "No," I said. "I'm stepping out of a role you never asked me if I wanted." My sister grabbed the phone. "You're ruining everything," she hissed. "Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is?" I thought of the navy blue suit. "I do," I said. "I learned that last night." She hung up. The next few weeks were chaotic. Bills piled up. Arguments erupted. My parents fought with each other, something I had never witnessed before. When I stopped absorbing the pressure, it had nowhere else to go. They tried guilt. "You're tearing the family apart." They tried nostalgia. "Remember everything we've done for you." They tried anger. "You owe us." I didn't engage. I didn't argue. I simply didn't pay. A month later, my sister showed up at my door. Not confident, not entitled, but small. "I didn't realize how much you were covering," she admitted quietly. I looked at her. "I know," I said. She swallowed. "Dad says we're going to lose the house." I nodded. "I know." She waited for reassurance, for rescue. I gave her neither. "You said I was selfish," I reminded her gently. This is me being fair. She left without another word. The house didn't get taken. The car didn't disappear. They figured it out because they always could have. They just never had to. Months passed. Communication became minimal, careful, polite. No more assumptions. No more invoices disguised as love. And something unexpected happened. I started sleeping better. I took a vacation that I paid for and enjoyed without guilt. I bought myself something nice, not because I needed it, but because I wanted it. One evening, my mom called. Her voice was quieter than I remembered. "We didn't realize," she said. "We thought you were fine." I didn't argue. "I was surviving," I replied. "There's a difference." She didn't press. That mattered. Here's the truth I learned the hard way. When you're the responsible one, people stop seeing you as human. They see you as infrastructure, and infrastructure only gets noticed when it fails. I didn't take anything back out of spite. I took it back because it was never theirs to begin with. And when my father said my sister deserved more, he finally spoke the quiet truth aloud. So I listened and acted. And now, for the first time, my life belongs to me. If your generosity becomes an expectation, it's no longer generosity. It's exploitation. You're not selfish for setting boundaries. You're just refusing to be used. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is stop paying for a story where you're always the villain. That's all for today's story. Stay tuned for more like this. Thanks for watching.